ESPN and ESPN2 are proud for the first time since 1983 to be back at one of the show places for 2 days of NASCAR stock car racing. Today, it's the Hardee's Fried Chicken Challenge 250, and tomorrow, Winston Cup racing action, 12:30 p.m. NASCAR Today, and our live flag-to-flag coverage of the Pontiac Excitement 400. It is one of the most competitive, and it is the largest field ever in the 15-year history of Busch Series racing at Richmond International Raceway. 41 cars will start.
Fans, this is the 15th Busch Series race run at Richmond since the track was redesigned in 1988. Now here's the math for today's race. NASCAR had more than 60 cars pre-register for this event, but some of those teams took a look at the entry list and said, such a competitive field, we're going to lay this one out. So 54 cars took times. 41 will start here today. From 1st to 17th, it's 0.3 of a second. From 1st to the last car in on time, it's half a second. Dale Jarrett, Michael Waltrip, Joe Nemechek, Mark Martin, Harry Gant, Robert Presley, Bobby Hamilton have all been to victory lane here. Big names have won this race, but once again this week, some good drivers came and went home.
Indeed, Bill. Take a look at the first three events in 1996 at Daytona. 64 attempted 18 went home. Some of the notable names like Burt and Fido and a pair of Wallace brothers. At Rockingham, 16 went home. Among the notables, Rodney Combs, Jeff Fuller, last year's Rookie of the Year, and sensational rookie standout Tony Stewart. And here at Richmond, you said 54 attempted, 13 went home. Stevie Reeves did not qualify. And folks, Mike Harmon, Tommy Houston, and Greg Clark, all three of those drivers, unfortunately, have missed all three starting fields. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch, and welcome to Richmond International Raceway. You know, the stock car fraternity have been coming here to Richmond since 1953, back when they saw Lee Petty win a 200-lap race in a Dodge. But it was in 1988 that the Sawyer family, with tremendous support from local Henrico County officials in the greater Richmond metropolitan area, built what would become one of the true show places in NASCAR racing. This unique D-shaped oval is 3/4 of a mile in length. The backstretch, 860 feet, front straightaway 1,290 feet. The banking in the corners 14 degrees, and the straightaways 8 degrees in the front and 2 degrees in the back. It affords the fans an opportunity to see both the close proximity racing that's a short track and the high-speed drafting of a super speedway. Thus, is it a short track or a super speedway? Who better to answer that than Kyle Petty?
Well, really, Jerry, I think it's a combination of the two. The corners are so tight and so close that you get that tight rubbing racing, that short track racing like you see at Martinsville and Wilkesboro and Bristol and places like that. The speedways are longer. You get the drafting, you get the speeds that you see at a Rockingham or a Dover or a place like that. So you've got a combination of the short track races, you've got a combination of the super speedway type thing. Motor-wise, it's the same way. You've got to have a short track motor to pull you up off the corner, but you've got to have a speedway motor to run at the end of the straightaways. So it's a funny thing. You don't know which way to go. Let me tell you, it's a tough place no matter how you look at it. But for more on two guys that know how to get around this place, whether it's a short track or a super speedway, there's Bill Weber.
Well, Kyle, Terry Labonte's always had good luck at this track, but today he starts 28th because when he qualified, his car would not stick to the track. That car has been great since they got here, except for 2 laps, the 2 Terry used to qualify. He's 28th. Now starting 20th, the man who won this race last fall, Dale Jarrett. In fact, he's in the same car. They've started this car 4 times. 3 times it's gone to victory lane. Dale Jarrett and Terry Labonte will try and get to the front, but they have 2 big obstacles to overcome. The talent in front of them and a flirtatious track where it is very tough to pass.
You're right, Bill Weber. It's a tough racetrack to pass on, and especially when you have a close field like you have here today. Just a fraction of a second separating first and the last place qualifier in the field. And Benny, even as wide as this racetrack is, it's still tough to pass on.
It is tough to pass. The corner down in turn 1 is a fairly tight corner. Coming off turn 2, going in turn 3 is kind of tight. But Dale Jarrett, Terry Labonte, folks, they got to hustle because starting 7th today is Mark Martin in the Winn-Dixie Ford. And you watch all these Busch Grand National races, you know how well Mark Martin runs. He hasn't won at this racetrack since 1993. He's had a couple of seconds, and his engine failed last year leading the race. So if they're going to win the race, they got to catch Mark Martin. He's starting way in front of them. Hurry, guys.
Guys, when we come back, we'll take a look at the 41-car starting field and the current Busch Series point standings, as well as some of the guys who will be there at the end of the year. Stay with us. It should be that kind of wild day here at Richmond International Raceway as they wrestle their way to the front. That's part of the WCW team of Steve Grissom and the crew. They painted their faces just like the wrestlers on World Championship Wrestling. After 2 events, take a look at the Busch Series standings. Now, folks, it won't look like this for very long because 3 of the top 5 are Winston Cup regulars. The other 2 are Busch Series regulars, Randy LaJoy and David Green. As those 5 guys up, hey, how about that, guys? I mean, it's entertainment, isn't it?
How would I look, folks, with streaks down either side of my face?
Oh, we got to try that. We got to try
I don't think so. What do you think, Ned?
Well, I don't know either. I don't believe we ought to try that on Benny.
Hey, one of the big concerns today among these teams is the fact that the tire situation, Ned, has really concerned a lot of the drivers down there this morning, thinking they maybe would go 40 or 60 laps at most, and those front tires, the left front in particular, would be gone.
It's a little unusual that you'd see a left front tire wearing or having problems with it as much as we've seen in some of the practice here. They're very concerned about it, but they do things to these race cars now to put a lot of pressure on that left front so it'll turn, and especially here at Richmond International Raceway. So that is a concern. But another big concern of the tire situation is until they get heated up, they don't get much adhesion on the racetrack. We've seen a lot of cars spin out here yesterday in practice just simply because there were not enough heat in the tires. And the first few laps of this race could be very interesting.
And they're only giving them 3 sets of tires, Benny, 3 sets under caution.
And one reason that they're running 5 warm laps today is to try to get just a little bit of heat in the tires. As Ned talked, cold tires is a problem.
3 sets of tires. Totally, it's all they have. It should be exciting as far as what's going to happen in the pits during the pit stops. And now let's go down trackside for the showing of the colors and the playing of our national anthem.
Standing, ladies and gentlemen, as we honor our nation with the playing of our national anthem.
And the national anthem has been played as fans continue to file in here as they get set. Let's check in once again on the grid with Bill Weber. Bill?
36-year-old Dennis Setzer is the only rookie in Busch Series history to have 2 wins in a season. He returns to the series on a full-time basis this year, starting outside the front row next to Jeff Purvis. Purvis has had a strong start at age 36. This is his 2nd pole. He had a 3rd-place finish at Rockingham last week, but a 23rd at Daytona. He's extremely optimistic about his chances today. It's a young front row of Purvis and Setzer, 2 guys returning to the series on a full-time basis in 1996, hoping today's race is part of a run to the championship. Now, the command to begin today's activities.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the most dramatic words in the world of professional sports, our Grand Marshal, Dan Ginsberg.
Drivers, start your engine.
Command, the field of 41 roars to life, the largest field in the 15-year history of the Busch Series coming to Richmond International Raceway. When we come back, we'll take a look at the starting lineup, 41 strong, and drop the green flag on stop number 3 on the Busch Series Tour. Stay with us. Back at Richmond International Raceway, today's Speed World coverage being brought to you by Suzuki. Your Suzuki motorcycle and ATV dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. By TM8 engine treatment from Valvoline, because driving is more stop than go. And by Firestone, America's tire since 1900.
We see the car still sitting on pit road, making sure that the engines are completely warm before they roll off. Because once you go on the racetrack, the temperature will basically not go up, but down.
And we talked about some of the cars that started back in the field. They had trouble in qualifying. They couldn't get any heat in their engines. Could not get any temperature in the motors. The field of 41 rolls away. Let's take a look at our Suzuki starting grid. And you've already seen that on the front row, for the 4th time in Busch Series racing, Jeff Purvis, the pole sitter, alongside Dennis Setzer, former runner-up for Rookie of the Year. Back in row 2, Bobby Labonte and Mike Wallace, a pair of Winston Cup regulars. Bobby, a former Busch Series champion, as is David Green, the 1994 Series champion, alongside another Series champion, Joe Nemechek.
In row 4, we find Mark Martin that I talked about just a moment ago, and Jim Bound, great qualifying run from a young man from Asheboro, North Carolina. Row 5, Todd Bodine, back in Busch Series in 1996, and Doug Hebron. In row 6, there's Curtis Markham and also Buckshot Jones.
And in row number 7, Chad Little in the Pontiac. And Hermie Sadler with a good qualifying run after having engine problems. Michael Waltrip and Steve Grissom make up row 8. And in row 9, we see Pete Orr and Randy LaJoie.
And row 10, Rodney Combs, who missed the field down at Rockingham, and Dale Jarrett. He didn't qualify well, but he was the fastest car in the final Busch Series practice yesterday. Row 11, Kevin LePage had that great qualifying run at Daytona alongside Randy Porter. And back in row 12, Elliott Sadler. He's the younger brother of Hermie Sadler and 2-time former series champion Larry Pearson.
And back in 25th spot, row 13, is Patty Moise, and she will start this car. It was qualified by her husband, Elton Sawyer. Jerry Nadeau, a rookie. On the outside, Shane Hall, another rookie in row 14, alongside Terry Labonte, and we know he will run well. In row 15 is Glenn Allen Jr. and young brother Phil Parsons.
And making up the 16th row is Johnny Rumley and Jeff Fuller. Row 17, we see Joe Bessie and Jason Keller. And in row 18, Mike Dillon and Tim Fedor.
And back in row 19, these are provisional starters. Mike McLaughlin had trouble getting the car qualified, couldn't get it to turn in the corner. And the Goodrich Chevy, that is the Dale and Teresa Earnhardt driver, Jeff Green, had engine troubles and had trouble qualifying in a provisional spot. Johnny Chapman, a rookie driver, in row 20. And Mike Laughlin Jr. starting the car number 35. And alone in row 21, the former 1990 Series champion, Chuck Bound, starts 41st. Let's check into the pits once again with Bill.
Well, Dr. Punch, one car that's already dropped to the rear of the field is the 14 Purex ride. Patty Moise is in that car. As you guys mentioned, Elton Sawyer did qualify that car. Patty took a wicked lick last week at Rockingham and injured her knee. So Elton went ahead and tested the car, practiced it, got it in the show, and Patty's going to start it so she gets the point. She obviously has to drop to the rear of the field. The plan now is for her to take it to the first caution. The jury's still out on that move to see if she can go that long. But that is the plan. Patty starts the car, then when she brings it in, Elton Sawyer will climb in, and at least they won't have to split the paycheck. It all comes to the same place at the end. 2 to go, guys.
And Bill, Patty told me that she said, I want to take the car to the first caution flag and hope that it's not me that produces the first caution flag. And her left knee very, very sore. As you see some of the roof cameras there, riding along with Rockin' Rodney Combs. Today's field, 41 cars, 26 Chevys, 12 Fords, and 3 Pontiacs.
And no Edsels. Not a one. Kyle Petty, we see these cars weaving back and forth, weaving back and forth. Can they get enough heat in the tires doing this, or does it take the cars up to speed?
It takes the cars getting up to speed. If you noticed yesterday during the Winston Cup qualifying and during the Busch qualifying, like you guys have said, that the track was so cold, the guys threw away the first lap. There were big differences between the first qualifying lap and the second lap. So what they did, they weaved, they get a little heat in them, then they try to run an easy lap. You're going to see some scary stuff going on in this first corner because these guys want to get their tires hot, but there's no way to get them hot enough.
Jerry Nadeau has spun out.
And I expect that he probably just tried to accelerate a little bit, and on those tires, they're pretty hard and cold, and he probably just got out from under him. We've seen that here in the last couple of days, just, you know, not even going fast and spin out. So Kyle said, yeah, watch that first turn down there.
That's a perfect example of what Kyle was talking about. Here's the guys that did not make the field. They went home, 13 of them. 54 cars were here, 41 will start. And guys, I'm going to tell you, next week in Atlanta, they already have 65 entries for the Busch Light 300 at Atlanta. That was as of yesterday, and they continue to file entries. As we get set to go green flag racing. Glad to have you with us here at Richmond International Raceway. ESPN back for live coverage. Hadn't been here since 1983. And guys, it's a great pleasure to be back here at this beautiful facility.
Well, this is a great facility that Paul Sawyer and his sons Wayne and Bill have built here. We're ready to go racing.
So far, so good, Ned.
Yeah, I'm impressed, really. Everybody was pretty careful that first lap. They knew what to expect on that first lap, and so everybody drove really nice.
There comes a wrestling car trying to wrestle away a spot from Buckshot Jones in 00.
And Steve Grissom in the WCW number 29 car.
You know, Buckshot Jones sounds like a wrestler, doesn't he? It's a good name for one anyway.
Yeah, that worked.
That's the 74 car, Randy LaJoy, which showed the points. He is a leading point contender of the Busch Grand National regulars.
And back up front, a move for second spot. Bobby Labonte makes it on the inside of Dennis Setzer. And now David Green has the door open. Can he move to the inside in turn one?
That's Dennis Setzer in the yellow and red car, 38. David Green in 95. And third spot. Comes the 90 car of Mike Wallace into the scene.
He's in fifth place.
We'll see Mark Martin back in sixth.
Mike Wallace trying to get on the inside of Dennis Setzer.
Setzer's car just moving up across the racetrack coming out of the turns. The car just pushes way up across the track coming out of 4 a minute ago, which opened the door. Now he's been passed for 4th spot and is about to lose 5th spot to Mark Martin.
Todd Bodine, that is Todd Bodine in the 81 car, the dark blue car. Tell you what, Ned, you get up on the outside and just opens the door.
Yeah, it really does. I've seen a couple of cars back in the back that have been doing some passing on the outside, but up here where these front-running cars are, the outside groove is not the place to be, as Dennis Setzer is finding out.
Setzer continuing to backslide, start on the outside of row 1, now being challenged on the inside by Joe Nemechek. And here's a move, another move by Steve Grissom, moving inside the car number 75 of Doug Hemrod.
And he's bringing 74, Randy LaJoy with him.
Well, Grissom's car is on the move.
Michael Waltrip there in the 12, the red and white car, MW windows. Hermes Sadler in the 1.
Hermes Sadler blew an engine late in practice yesterday, just before the end of the practice, before their qualifying. They hustled around and got another engine in it, and he still had a good qualifying run.
3 abreast.
Ooh, back off, Dennis. He did.
That 23 car, the John Deere Pontiac, that is Chad Little on the inside. The Lux, that's the yellow car for 51, is Jim Bound.
Clear. Steve Grissom's spotter telling he was clear of the 38 car. He could come back up to the next to the retaining wall as he came off that second corner. Very critical that these drivers understand and know that, because if someone is out there and they don't know it, they just pin them against that outside retaining wall.
And there's Jeff Purvis, who is our pole sitter. He has led since the drop of the green flag. In second spot is Bobby Labonte in the car 44. And David Green in the Caterpillar car. Now, Kirk Shelmerdine, his third race as the crew chief on that car. One car slowing.
Hermes Sadler, man, oh man.
Well, he had such high hopes coming into this race here. This is close to his home, and his race shops really are in Richmond, Virginia. And he wanted to show the home folks here how well he could do.
And he's smoking badly going down in turn 1, so I guess it's an engine problem on the DeWalt Chevrolet. Mark Martin's been able to get by Mike Wallace. That's Martin in 60, Mike Wallace in 90.
Moves Martin up to 4th.
Started back in 7th spot. Knew he would be strong watching that final practice yesterday.
Joe Nemechek in the 87 blue and white car trying to get on the inside of Todd Bodine. Oh, Bodine goes up the hill, and here comes Nemechek.
That door
second place. David Green, the Caterpillar car, has taken it away from Bobby Labonte.
And here's a spin.
That's Jeff Green has spun up in turn 4. We'll bring out the first caution flag today in the Goodrich Chevrolet. So he gets it right and will not lose a lap.
But some pretty good damage to the left rear of that car.
There is a lot of damage there.
There's no way to put any fuel in the car if he is able to continue.
And this was the caution flag that Patty Moise needed to put her husband and co-owner of that race car, Elton Sawyer, in it. First caution, lap 14. An incident coming out of turn 4. Not the brake that Jeff Green needed, but there is Patty Moise, the Purex dial machine that she and her husband, Elton Sawyer, co-own. We mentioned Patty was injured in an accident at Rockingham last week. Has possibly some torn ligaments in her left knee, and there's the damage on the car number 3 that brought out the caution.
And that's a lot of damage, Jerry.
See if we can see what happened to the 3 car here just a moment ago.
Yeah, we see him up there and backs it in the wall pretty doggone hard.
He was in some pretty heavy traffic back there. So
he pulled up beside of Joe Bessie. I don't know if he if that just would be purely speculation that they might have made some contact. But
so first caution flag today. Here is Patty Moise coming in. She had trouble getting in and out of the car in practice. In fact, yesterday morning they had to actually take her seat out of the car because she couldn't even practice the race car. You see the crew members going in to try to help her out. She can't bend her left knee, so they literally lift her out. There's her husband, Elton Sawyer. And he climbs in. They had a pillow behind Patty Moise because they had Elton's seat in the car.
I think he's going to get lapped. I think that Elton will be lapped before he can get the car going again.
It's going to be awfully close. Of course, Patty is thinking about her dad also, who had heart bypass surgery. 6 bypass, is that the way to put it, Jerry, this week? And he's watching television down in Florida. Hope everything goes well with him.
Let's see. Is he going to make it? They've stopped. They've stopped the cars. He will go a lap down, will Elton. Oops, he ran the stop sign.
Well, he sure did. That'll probably bring him back in. Let's check in on the pits with Kyle Petty.
Well, I'm here with Hermie Sadler. Like you guys said yesterday, that he broke a motor right there before qualifying. He's only run 15, 20 laps a day, and you've got more problems. What seems to be the problem?
Yeah, they just told me we broke a rod in this motor, too, so we're done for the day. Same old story, you know, we keep trying and working hard and can't get to the finish yet, Kyle. We'll keep running and get this DeWalt car up front pretty soon, I hope.
Well, he'll be back. You can count on that. There is oil all over pit road, and that could be the problem for the spin, guys.
And the window net, we are told, is down in Elton Sawyer's car. There's Patty Moise, who climbed out of the car. Plus, he ran the stop sign at the end of pit road, so he will come back down pit road for a brief penalty. And we'll take this break and come back to Richmond after this. Back at Richmond International Raceway, our live coverage of the Hardee's Fried Chicken Challenge 250. And the challenge right now in the Goodrich pits is to try to somehow reassemble the left rear of that Chevrolet.
And there we see Elton Sawyer back in, heeding the penalty from NASCAR. And there we see the oil drive being put down on pit road for that oil, I guess, that came out of the 1 car of Hermie Sadler.
Well, you can join ESPN2 later today at 5 p.m. for IndyCar pole qualifying for the Grand Prix of Miami presented by Toyota. The 28 entrants will qualify for the best time of 2 laps, and practice laps have shown cars reaching almost 200 miles per hour. In fact, some of the top drivers there include Allister Jr., Michael Andretti, and Paul Tracy. That's today at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Deuce. That'll be live qualifying for the Grand Prix of Miami.
There we see the top 15 cars as the cars are preparing to go back to racing on the green flag conditions. The light is out atop the Pontiac pace car, and that means that the next time by they'll throw the green flag and they'll be racing again. And Mark Martin was gaining on Jeff Purvis before this caution flag about 1/10 of a second per lap.
He is fast on this racetrack, and we're ready to go racing again.
Pontiac safety car pulls away. Martin, a 2-time winner here. One of 9 different drivers who have won in Busch Series competition. Pretty good jump by Joe Nemechek. Big challenges for the 4th spot. And so we go back to green flag racing, and Purvis leads them out of turn 4. We will check into the pits with Kyle Petty, who's standing by with Patty Moise.
Well, I'm here with Patty Moise. You did hit hard last week. Obviously, you're limping. You've got some problem with your knees. You've had a tough week. You've been in the hospital with your father and stuff. And then, obviously, the driver change didn't go. Oh, wait a minute. There's a spin out there on the speedway. Okay.
And no caution flag.
No caution. Sorry about that. Anyhow, the driver change didn't go as smooth as you wanted to. The NASCAR official kept holding you. What was the problem?
Apparently, Elk didn't beat the pace car down at the end. He was held by he went by the guy who had the stop sign.
Hey, that happens. I've done that a million times. How are you feeling?
I'm okay. Just wanted to go here at Car to have a good run, and my knee, I tore something in it. It's hard to keep it bent that long.
Yeah, it's hard. I tell you what, it's hard to drive a race car when you're feeling healthy, much less when you're not. I will say this is the first time I've ever seen a wife get in for a husband get in for a wife in Winston Cup racing or in NASCAR racing. I wouldn't let my wife in my car or my husband, either one. See you guys.
That's Kyle talking to Patty Moise. A moment ago, the incident coming out of turn 2 involved Chad Little and Jim Bounds. You saw there was no caution flag. Those cars both righted themselves and continue to go.
Now we see Mark Martin has taken over the 3rd spot, and Mike Wallace has taken over 4th. Bobby Labonte drops back to 5th, and here comes Nemechek. They're contesting that spot.
Like Labonte's car is pushing up just a little bit in the turns, and they're able to drive right under him.
Bobby Labonte in the shell car. Let's see if we can tell exactly what happened between Chad Little and Jim Bound in the Lux car. There we see Grissom in the WC. Some contact from Grissom in Jim Bound's car. Around he goes, and Chad Little, he just got really true. I don't think either of those cars hit anything there.
Well, I tell you, Chad Little did a great job of getting his car slowed down, not hitting either Bound or the wall.
That's Curtis Markham in the 63, the Lysol car. He's from Fredericksburg, Virginia, just up the road about 30-40 miles, and these cars going by Jeff Green.
Bobby Labonte now backsliding. He's being shown in the 8th position, and we might mention that Dennis Setzer, who started on the outside of row 1, his car continues to have handling problems, and he is now being shown way back in 15th spot.
The better you'll get.
Battle for the lead. David Green, the cat car, has a prey in front of him, and that prey is Jeff Purvis.
At Daytona, David had help from Kirk Shelmerdine, as well as at Rockingham. They really haven't hired Kirk, but they would love to have him. He sort of just shows up, and when he shows up, they're all smiles. But they said, hey, Kirk, this week, could we order you a uniform, maybe have you come around like every week or so? Because Kirk, well, we'll see. But Butch Enders is the crew chief, Kirk Shelmerdine working on that car with that crew, and David Green, and boy, what a difference that has made.
Well, Kirk Shelmerdine drove Butch's car some back when Carol Levin owned the operation, before Buzz McCall stepped in and bought the 95P.
Looks like Purvis's car might be getting a little bit loose, Benny. And David Green's going to take advantage of that. Try it right here, but he can't quite do it.
And Purvis said David Green had better hustle and get by as quick as he can, because he's going to have somebody on his tail in just a moment.
Yeah, the way of Mark Martin.
Yes. There we see Mark's car coming to the picture, just about 2 car lengths behind David Green.
Boy, did Martin dominate that race at Rockingham, or what, 151 of 197 laps he led, and boy, was he strong. And he's a 2-time winner here.
Here's Green once more. He drives her deep down into the turn this time. Gets alongside. Is he going to be able to pull it off? Yes, he will. Going into turn 1, he'll take the lead from Jeff Purvis. Now Purvis closes the door on Mark Martin.
These 3 cars have pulled away from the 4th and 5th place cars of Mike Wallace and Joe Nemechek by about 15-18 car lengths, as now Nemechek looks to the inside of Wallace. That's for 4th spot, and he will make the pass coming out of turn 4.
Does it cleanly.
And up front is David Green. After After 32 of 250 laps in 1994, Busch Series champion has assumed the lead. Back with more live Busch Series action after this. Richmond International Raceway. David Green is our leader. You see our field summary. The number in parentheses, that's where they started. Green started 5th, Mark Martin 7th, and Purvis, our pole sitter, obviously has given up the 2nd spot to Mark Martin. Nemechek and Todd Bodine in the top 5.
You see Michael Waltrip started 15th, has moved up to 8th. Curtis Martin gained 4 spots. And Dale Jarrett started 20th. He's up to 12th. 8 points he's gained so far, Ned.
Yes, moving along pretty good. And Terry Labonte he started 28th, and he's moved up to 16th. So those two drivers that Bill Weber talked about at the top of the show are beginning to move up.
Both of them have picked up 12 spots. And we see that Mark Martin, we kept talking about how well he was going to run, and David Green is kind of maintaining that advantage of about 10 car lengths on Mark Martin as we watch the rest of the field come off the corner. Doug Hebron goes by the 3 car of Jeff Green. And there comes the leader. He is in traffic. That's Jeff Fuller at 47. Johnny Rumney at 25. Mike Laughlin in 35. The blue and white car. The green and white car is Randy Porter.
Well, David Green had to get off in a hurry there. He was about to get himself in a position he didn't need to be in, but he was very smart. Backed off. Mark Martin run right up on him, but he backed off too.
Green had about a 3 or 4 car length advantage, and now within traffic, it's allowed Mark Martin to pull right up on the rear deck of David Green as Martin continues his charge to the front. Let's check in the pits with Bill Weber.
Well, the most surprised guys for that charge might be his crew. I talked to Bobby Leslie before the race started. I said, I heard that 60 car is pretty fast. He goes, not today. I said, what do you mean? He said, you know, we just haven't hit it. We don't have the perfect setup here. I don't think we're going to be that good. In fact, we think Nemechek is the car to watch. But right now, Mark's off to a good start. A couple other things. David Green is a little loose getting off the turns. Jeff Purvis's car is a little tight. Bobby Labonte, the 44 car, is also tight. He wants a wedge adjustment when he comes in. The sun has come out since the last time these guys touched these cars, so a lot of them are going to battle the handling until they can get a pit stop.
Yeah, the weather conditions are definitely different today than when they were on the track yesterday, and we do see some cars that are not handling as well as they did in the last practice yesterday afternoon.
Jeff Fuller still trying to stay in the lead lap. We'll go back to Todd Bodine, the 81, Mike Wallace in 90, and Curtis Martin in 63 as they go by the Universe car of Randy Porter. Man, oh man.
Well, what a cluster of cars here coming off turn 2. My goodness, you got to be very, very patient back there. And the leaders are only about a half a straightaway behind this mess. And that's going to be tough to negotiate through for Green and Martin and company.
Well, we see Dennis Setzer back there in that he continues to move on back towards the back. Started on the outside pole, Jerry, but his car apparently not handling well at all. Dennis is being shown now in 25th position.
They came here twice, and talking about the Aiken Sutton Motorsports Lipton T-Team, they came here twice in the past 2 weeks and tested with 3 different cars. Thought they had the car that could absolutely dominate this race. They were very strong in qualifying, but obviously something has happened with the car, or else the car is not handling it off, because he is now being passed again. Joe Bessie goes by him, and that will crank Setzer back another spot. Let's check into the pits. Bill Weber, what's wrong with Dennis Setzer?
Well, Dennis says his car is tight, but I talked to team co-owner Bob Sutton this morning. He said, we qualified real well, but I'm not really sure we're going to race that good today. So they'd be happy, you know, I think to get a top 15 from the talking to him this morning, but this young team's still learning, but I don't think they're going to race as well as they qualified, and that's really going out on a limb after seeing what's happened here early in the race, but I don't think they were extremely the most optimistic crew down here when the green flag fell.
There's Dale Jarrett in the Band-Aid car. That's the red and white and blue. Bobby Labonte in 44.
He just moved around. Bobby Labonte took over the 11th position. Randy LaJoie running 10th. Jarrett 11th. And Bobby Labonte now in 12th position. There's Steve Grissom, car number 29. We saw him make some early moves, but Steve sort of stabilized there now. His car was really strong at the beginning, but right now not moving towards the front.
Take a look at Dale Jarrett's progress. He started back in 20th spot, did not have the good qualifying run he had hoped to have, and he's slowly moved his way toward the front. Now at lap 47, he is being shown in 11th spot. Now, he won this race here last fall. Didn't qualify that well either during that race, but he ran about halfway. He was toward the front. In the last part of the race, he was the car to beat.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive move there up on the outside of Randy LaJoie.
Yes, it was. There we see the leader, David Green, about to put Phil Parsons a lap down in the 10, the blue and white car, the Cadillac car. And Jeff Purvis still hanging on to third spot.
Well, once they got up there in that traffic with those ill-handling race cars, makes it a little bit tough to move through. And Phil's car apparently not handling well. The Channel Lock Chevrolet, number 10, now he does go a lap down. He's being shown in 31st position.
Well, after 50 of 250 laps here at the Richmond International Raceway, our live Busch Grand National coverage of the Hardee's Fried Chicken Challenge 250 continues after this with David Green as our leader. Back at Richmond International Raceway, there's our leader, David Green, moving in on some slower traffic. Jerry Nadeau, the rookie driver, right in front of him. You see the cars now behind him. There is Jeff Purvis, the pole sitter, the car number 4, being shown in third spot. Nemechek behind him in fourth. There is the 95 car, the Caterpillar machine, working some slower traffic. But, guys, a lot of drivers struggling with the handling here today.
Yes, they are. They'd all love to see a caution.
Right front tire off.
Something about the right front tire. He feels, Steve Grissom feels that he has a problem with his right front tire.
Now we saw some contact between the 74 and 29.
We saw Jerry Nadeau there. He was the second round fastest qualifier. Had an awfully good qualifying run here yesterday. Doesn't have a sponsor on his car, but he does. He is carrying a message out there on the car today.
Clear.
Back of the car has MDA on it, Ned. Muscular Dystrophy Association, and a number to call to be involved with that worthwhile charity.
Clear.
That's Chuck Bound in the 05 car that they're going by.
Let's check in the pits, talking about Steve Grissom. What about it, Kyle Petty?
Well, Steve Grissom has radioed his crew and said that his car is pushing, and it's pushing so bad he's pushed the right. He's afraid he's going to push the right front tire off of it. You guys have talked about weather conditions. You've talked about tires getting up to speed. What happens a lot of time on a cool racetrack, you'll slam a lot of camber in that right front tire and make that thing turn and make that thing bite quick. They practiced on a cold racetrack. Now all of a sudden they're out here on a hot racetrack. They don't need that much camber in this thing right now, and they're pushing the inside of the tires off, guys.
And when he says a hot racetrack, the sun's shining here now, and when the sun shines on the dark asphalt, it makes a difference. And here's Dennis Setzer, one of the first of the top qualifiers coming into the pits, and Bill Weber is there.
Well, as Jerry pointed out, this is a real disappointed group of racers. They're going to go to the right side. Dennis radioed in. The car's tight. So we kept going back in the field. They couldn't wait any longer. Crank and wedge, 2 rounds on the right side. Change the right side tires. It's going to be a 4-tire stop. Already got plenty of fuel lamps going off. Dennis going down. This is disappointing for these guys. They really wanted just a consistent run today. Not necessarily a win, but they're not going to get either of those today. 25.2 and the 38 cars away.
But what a disappointment for Dennis Setzer after qualifying on the front row. It looked like the car was so tight he couldn't even get off the corner. The car was just pushed way across the racetrack, and there were just cars going by him in those first 3 or 4 laps, 3 and 4 at a time. And
when you have that type of situation, when that car is pushing that bad, you get nervous, like Steve Grissom is right now. You wonder how much is it grinding the rubber off that front tire? Is that thing fixing to blow out on you?
This is the inside. There we see Michael Waltrip in 12, Todd Bodine 81, and Dale Jarrett in 32.
Inside, clear after him.
I guess that's Lynn Bodine, Todd's wife, that's spotting for him.
Yep, sounded like her. Michael Waltrip just moved into 7th or 8th, and we'll make that 6th, and Dale Jarrett moves up into 7th.
Let's check in with Bill Weber on the Todd Bodine situation. Bill?
Hey, Benny, right on the money. That is Lynn up there. She's spotting for her husband, and she says she really likes it. They say she's a good coach up there, a nice, soothing influence. In fact, last year when Todd won that wild 3-wide finish at Rockingham, she was spotting for him then, too. And the only thing Todd said late in the race was, all I want to hear is from Lynn, clear, until we get to the finish. Next time he saw her was in Victory Lane.
Well, at least you don't have to worry about him yelling at his spotter anyway.
Dale Jarrett has been able to get by Mike Walter. And Todd Bodine trying to go by on the...
That was Lynn again, here on the outside lane. That moved Jarrett into 7th position. I was right the first time there a moment ago. I got myself mixed up. Michael Waltrip is in 8th. Todd Bodine is now in the 9th position.
Jason Keller in the Slim Jim car going by Bobby Labonte, taking over, what is that, 12th spot?
12th spot, BP, for Keller. He owns the qualifying record here at Richmond, although you wouldn't know it by the way they qualified here. Another side-by-side battle. Curtis Markham in the Pontiac as they battle for 5th position, Markham and Mike Wallace. The 32 car back there just waiting and watching to see what's going to happen. That's Dale Jarrett. He has come all the way from 20th spot. And now he will try to go underneath Mike Wallace and take away 6 spots. From 20th to 6th in how many laps? 67 laps.
His car seems to be working good now. It seemed at first of the race that it was not, even though he was picking up some positions, it didn't seem as fast as it was in practice yesterday, but now it seems to be working out pretty well. Maybe he was just biding his time and being careful like I told him.
95 still our leader. That is David Green, the 1994 Series champion. He's driving the car number 95. Moving in on Joe Bessie in the Delco Remy America sponsored machine. That's Bessie coming out in the car number 9 and turn 4. The 95 is Green. Here's a battle back for 3rd spot. Joe Nemechek.
That's Nemechek in the 87 going by our pole sitter. That's Jeff Purvis in the red and white number 4. Fastest qualifier here in qualifying yesterday afternoon as they go by Johnny Rumley.
Johnny Rumley carrying the sponsorship that Tommy Houston would have had if Tommy had made the field as Suburban Propane.
Johnny said that Tommy and Martha Houston came by and asked him if they would put Suburban Propane on the car, but since they did not make the field, and trying to be able to give their sponsors some exposure so they can get their organization going, and hopefully we'll see Tommy back in Atlanta next week for the Busch Light 300.
Now then, here comes Mark. They're still trying to get by the 9 car of Joe Bessie.
Bessie trying to stay in the lead lap. He's in 24th position.
The last car on the lead lap right now. 24 cars, as Ned said, on the lead lap. He desperately wants to stay there.
71 laps in the books. It'll be 70 to go, or 170 to go next time by. I'm using Bob's calculator. Sorry about that, Bob Jenkins. Back with more live racing action as David Green shows the way here after 71 complete. Back at Richmond International Raceway in Richmond, Virginia, actually in Henrico County, Virginia. There is the leaders, I should say. There is the lead change that took place a moment ago. And here's Dale Jarrett making a move inside of Jeff Purvis.
Taking over the 4th spot. Puts Purvis back to 5th. Right now it's Mark Martin, David Green, Joe Nemechek, Curtis Markham, and Dale Jarrett. Dale Jarrett's 5th, I'm sorry.
And we had a lead change a little bit ago. Mark Martin moves up on the outside of David Green. Gutsy pass, but they were running behind Joe Bessie, the 9 car there, and Green had never been able to get by him. So Martin said, hey, let me try it up here on the outside. And he just motored right on by.
So Martin, our leader, David Green 2nd. Nemechek is 3rd. Then comes a 63 car of Markham. And Dale Jarrett is 5th with Purvis back now in 6th position.
And David Green is able to keep up with Mark Martin. Here's a battle for, that's Jason Keller in 57. Randy LaJoy in 74. That's for 9th spot. LaJoy has it and Keller wants it.
Starting to see some pit stops, BP. 1 minute ago, we saw Steve Grissom come in for a tire change. And now Mike McLaughlin has stalled his car in the pits. The Royal Oak Chevrolet finally gets it fired. So he had made a tire change and gets it moving back down pit road.
And Kyle Petty has a tire on Steve Grissom's car. Kyle?
Just like Steve Grissom radioed in, said he was pushing the right front corner off the car. Just like I told you guys, if you got too much camber in the car, the tire won't wear even. If you can see, there's little wear marks. He's got okay on the outside. On the inside, he's down into the steel belt. When you go off in one of these corners and you're on steel and not on the rubber, this car's not going to stick. It's going to push it off. And that's why he had to be careful. This tire didn't have a lot of laps in it. See, Steve and this team got its money's worth out of this Goodyear Racing Eagle.
Yeah, that's right. Steele and and tar does not work, doesn't it?
No, he sure don't. Well, he had a good feel of the race car, knowing that he was tearing that right front tire up, and needed to come in and get that tire off of there, or he could have been in the wall.
A lesser experienced driver might have stayed out there and bought him some concrete out there and poured up in front of the race car.
Todd Bodine. There's Mike Laughlin in the 35 car, the young rookie driver. Ooh, and he and Todd are very, very close. I would say that Mike Laughlin has stopped.
He's going to wreck it. Clear after him.
Phil Parsons just made a pit stop. He's headed back out into the action.
Let's say that Mike Laughlin has stopped and changed some tires.
Yeah, apparently, because the new tires pick you up quite a bit. After Steve Griffin came back out, he's been blowing off a lot of cars that were passing him earlier.
Now he's in 29th spot.
Pay attention when the leaders pit. Go inside. Randy's out of the grass.
That's Lynn Bodine. Once again, that is Todd Bodine's wife, who's a spotter, talking to him, telling him to go inside Brandon LaJoy.
With the 5-car Terry behind him.
There's Terry Labonte, started, what, 30th, and is moving to 11th spot or so right now. Started 28.
Curtis Markham has moved up into the 3rd position, has moved around Joe Nemechek now. So Curtis Markham still on the move.
There's a serial on Terry Labonte.
Claire.
Bobby Labonte coming into the pits in his Shell Chevrolet.
Big question was how long they could go on a set of tires. We're now showing 86 laps complete. And let's go to Bill Weber.
Bobby Labonte on lap 86 is on pit road. Strong qualifying run and a strong one, but his handle started going away from him. They're working underneath the right side of the car. He asked for bolt cutters. They wanted to adjust the track bar. This is going to cost them a lot of laps under green flag conditions. One crewman under there. They've worked on that. They were moving the chain from the rear end. Now they tighten on the right-hand side. Dale Jarrett also on pit road at the other end. 4 tires for Bobby Labonte. Dale Jarrett, who started 20th, carved his way to the front of the field. Let's go to Kyle Petty.
Dale Jarrett, Sam, they've changed right side tires. They're putting 2 cans of gas. They look like they're going to change left side tires. That's one thing Grissom and those guys didn't do. They changed right sides, but the lefts are going to be worn so bad that once they give up, they're going to be in trouble. Dale and those guys seem to be making the right decision, in my opinion. That was a quick pit stop right there, guys.
And there's the Band-Aid crew. Good pit stop for John Irvin and company. They are side by side. Jason Keller, that's for the 6th position. Keller, who started way back in the pack, the 57 car.
And he's about to take over 5th from Jeff Purvis.
He started 34th. Greenville, South Carolina driver in the Slim Jim sponsored Chevy.
Well, these cars that have not made pit stops are slipping and sliding out there right now.
Dale Jarrett's pit stop, he lost 2 laps in the pits, being shown in 27th spot, 2 laps back, but that's sort of immaterial right now because everyone else is going to have to pit who hasn't been in.
Yeah, if they don't catch a caution, but if they pit under the green, but if they should catch a caution, it would be very significant.
Here's Randy LaJoy down pit road, the 3rd man in the point standings.
And Mike Wallace trying to take that spot away from the pole sitter, Jeff Purvis.
Doug Hevron was just in for a pit stop.
Randy LaJoy is in his pit. There he is. We see the right sides coming off.
Steve Bird and crew working on that car. Bill Baumgartner owned machine. That's the car and the team that won the series championship last year.
And they decided to go with 4 tires as well.
I think it's a good call to go ahead and put 4 on. Don't you think, Ned?
Yeah, I agree with putting 4 tires on, like Kyle said. Because there was concern about that left front of the car. Going to be a long pit stop here for Randy LaJoy, 29.4 seconds. They should be able to do this in about 22, 23 seconds.
As we watch him lead, Buckshot Jones, the 00 car we saw earlier, Aquafresh car, is off the pace. There he is. And look at Dale Jarrett go with those fresh tires.
Ooh, don't do that.
Right in behind the Rodney Orr car. Now, with those pit stops, we are still showing 13 cars on the lead lap. The last car on the lead lap in 13th spot will be the 99 car of Glenn Allen Jr. He's the rookie driver out of Cincinnati, Ohio. There's Buckshot Jones, a 00. You were talking about BP.
Well, the 55 car is up against the wall coming off the second corner. It's like the... I don't know what's happened with Johnny Chapman, but he went down in turn 1 and just went straight up in the outside retaining wall. Just brushed it lightly.
He's staying out on the track. Didn't look like he did much damage there on the outside.
Oh, we can see just a mark or so.
Yeah.
There we see as he goes up, and there he just brushes the wall. I don't know exactly what happened then. Maybe he got too high in the corner, just in the loose stuff, and away he went.
Here's Jeff Purvis coming into the pits as we watch the car number 55. Purvis, the pole sitter. The Phoenix Racing, the James Finch owned the car.
Johnny Allen and company will go to work on. That's a brand new race car. They built a brand new short track car, came here and put it on the pole.
You see that now the Busch official count the men across the wall. He said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Evidently not too many across the wall. Here comes Nemechek in.
Chad Little is coming in.
Bill Weber is with Nemechek.
This will be a 4-tire stop for Joe Nemechek, who has been the victory lane here. They go around to the right side, shoving the fuel, working lap 96. Jeff Purvis still on pit road. Now that car is on its way. They come around, loosen the left side lug nuts on the 87 Monte Carlo. Take off the lugs, slap on the left side tires, plenty of fuel in there, waiting on the tire guys here, working on the right rear. Now Nemechek's away, Kyle Petty's in Chad Little's pit.
Chad Little's come in. He's changed right side tires. He's changing left side tires. Grissom's one of the few cars that's only changed 2 tires. These tires are wearing out the right front. It's just like Dan and Benny say, they're wearing out the left front too. He's down and gone on his way.
And as you're watching those pit stops, tell you how much fresh tires being. Dale Jarrett just blew by the 60 car, who was our leader, to get one of his laps back. Remember, Mark Martin is yet to pit. Here's the 92 car down pit road, the Stanley Tools Mac Martin owned machine. That's Larry Pearson, former 2-time series champion.
He's currently in 21st spot as he slowly comes down to his pit.
Terry Labonte coming in. Mike Wallace coming in. Elton Sawyer is in.
Luxair Chevrolet, Glenn Allen, rookie driver. There's a 92 car filled in. They go to the left side. Ryan Pemberton and company. Left front tire coming off. There's the Mike Wallace machine, the Barry Owens crew. Oleg Myers. Quick work by the Bayer crew for Terry Labonte. 92 car getting ready to leave as they have, well, still a little bit of a problem there in the Larry Pearson. They're going to put some tape across one of the lower front grill areas.
The left rear, they had all kind of problem in the left rear. They're still working on the left rear tire. Evidently got a lug nut rounded off or something. Can't get a tire off or on or something. Man, what a tough break.
Boy, that is costing him a lot of valuable time.
Saw Mike Wallace leave and Terry Labonte about to leave. And finally, Larry Pearson able to leave. Here's Michael Waltrip, NW Windows machine down pit road.
He had moved up to 7th place. Now there are only 6 cars in the lead lap. Let's go to the pits and Kyle Petty.
These are carbon copy pit stops. Michael Waltrip's come in, changed his right side tires. He's got his left side tires on the wall. They've moved around to the left side of the car. Michael's cars run pretty good. This is his own team, so he's been a little bit careful. He hates to see these stickers go on since he owns these things now. But they're having a little bit of trouble with the left front. They've got the left front in now. Here comes the 60 car, the leader. Mark Martin's coming in, and he's right over here beside of me on the other side. So the 12 cars down and out, and Mark's coming in. Mark's changing right side tires. Mark's they're making a little bit of a chassis adjustment. They've got the things in there. They've got the wrench in the side. They're cranking a couple of rounds. Mark said that he has pushed his car and pushing the right front tire. Mark's really good about saving tires. If there's anybody out here who can get a lot out of a tire, it's Mark Martin, and he's done it today, as everybody can say. So he's had a standard pit stop just like everybody else. Bill Weber.
David Green on pit road, fuel and 4 tires. This is the run this young driver needed. Former series champion, has a 12th and a 6th place finish so far. Plenty of fuel in, working on the right rear, had a little trouble getting it off. Now they got the right rear on, or left rear rather. Left front is ready, waiting for it. They drop the car, David's away.
But unfortunately, David Green lost about half lap to Mark Martin on that pit stop exchange as Curtis Martin, the leader of the race, is coming down pit road, the Lasso car, to make his pit stop.
And Jeff Hensley and the company will go to work there on Markham's car. As Kyle Petty, they're down in front of you.
Okay, he's changing the right side tires also. They're putting in 2 cans of gas. He's got his, but they don't have the left side. Well, they're coming to the left side, and now the guys are getting the left side tires. I didn't think he was going to change left sides there for a minute. The cars fell off the jack a little bit. They're having a little trouble. They got them on there. This is basic pit stop, just like everybody else's stuff. When you're running as good as these guys are running right now, you don't want to do anything out of the ordinary that somebody else is not doing. Back to you guys.
Now, guys, what all of this has done, now all of the leaders have made pit stops. Steve Grissom was the first to make a pit stop. He's going to be shown as the leader. Dale Jarrett is going to be shown in second place. Now, their tires are a little bit older than others, but it's got some guys down a lap by running as long as they did, like Michael Waltrip and several of other cars out there, Buckshot Jones and some of those.
Copy, Steve. Yeah, good.
That's a spotter on the Steve Grissom car. The car number 29 who won at Daytona, the season opening Goodies Headache Powder. Being shown as our leader here at Richmond International Raceway. 106 laps are complete. And we were told you we were in the greater Richmond metropolitan area. What a beautiful city. It's downtown Richmond. Some of the finest museums in the world. The Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, Southeast's largest art museum, and much, much more in a beautiful city. Tremendous hospitality here. That's downtown Richmond, just a few miles away from Richmond International Raceway. And we're now riding on top of the car number 43. The Hardee's Fried Chicken Challenge 250 at Richmond International Raceway, the site of that event. Side-by-side racing action with the 5-car of Terry Labonte.
And they charge down in the first corner. And we see Mark Martin right behind these 2 cars. Mark, who led much of the race, is currently shown in 3rd spot. But with fresher tires than the first 2 cars, right now the leader is Ned said, Steve Grissom in 29 and 32 of Dale Jarrett. Now Mark is in a quandary. What do I do? These guys are running side by side.
And they're a lap down. They're being shown in 18th and 19th position. That is Terry Labonte and Rodney Combs. They were 2 cars that stayed out there a long time on those old tires, and those that pitted earlier got fresh tires. They were running much faster around the racetrack, and that's why we've had a change that we've had with others running up front. Steve Grissom the leader, Dale Jarrett second. Here Mark Martin is in 3rd place. He gets around the Rodney Combs car.
Now Mark Martin, where he's riding there behind the car 5 of Terry Labonte, is about a half a straightaway. Now a straightaway behind the 2nd place car of Dale Jarrett, who was about 10 car lengths, making about 8 car lengths now behind Steve Grissom as they exit turn 4.
There's our leader, Steve Grissom, and Michael Waltrip.
Now Michael Waltrip trying to get back in the lead lap. He is being shown in 15th position, and he wants to get by Steve Grissom, get back in the lead lap. And you see Jarrett back there behind him. Jarrett was about 3.5 seconds behind Grissom not too long ago, but now Grissom's tire's going away. Now there's Chad Little in the green car, the John Deere car. He also wants to get by Steve Grissom and get back in the lead lap.
Little goes by, but here is Jarrett now as the door is still open, and Chad Little at the bottom of the racetrack. And if he keeps Grissom high as he does, and Jarrett will have a shot to take the lead.
Jarrett has fresher tires, and as Kyle Petty pointed out, Jarrett put on 4 tires, Grissom only 2, and it's beginning to show.
44 right behind him. Clear behind the 44.
Bobby Labonte is being shown in 17th position. He is 1 lap down. He would like to get around.
The guys have got us about 20 laps on them tires, so don't worry about that.
So he's saying exactly the same thing we're saying. He's got older tires on there, and boy, does it make a great difference.
He's just trying to keep the driver pumped up. He doesn't want Steve Grissom just to lose his enthusiasm because these guys are passing me. Steve, they've got better tires. They're supposed to be passing you. Just keep going.
Don't get frustrated. Don't overdrive the car.
Exactly.
And Mark Martin back there in 3rd place. He's gaining on Jarrett because he has fresher tires than does Jarrett. There you see him coming into the picture as he moves around, takes over 2nd position.
Good place to run right there.
That puts Martin in 2nd, moves Grissom back to 3rd.
See, the left front is really critical to keep these cars on the bottom of the racetrack, as much so as the right side, because if the left is worn out and isn't gripping, and you have to put all that pressure on the right front, it just will not do it. It takes all 4 of the tires gripping the racetrack to keep these cars on the bottom of the speedway. Steve Grissom, now 118 laps into the race, has not changed the left sides, and I'm sure that he's having all kinds of trouble keeping up the speed.
There's the interval back there in second place car. Winn-Dixie Ford of Mark Martin. Martin behind the Bobby Labonte machine is being shown a lap down. Jarrett now cranking the 16th place car. Mike McLaughlin 1 lap down. That puts 15 cars on the lead lap.
And here's Terry Labonte. He wants to get back up there and get back in the lead lap. He has fresher tires.
And the interval continues to shrink between Jarrett and Martin. 32 cars. Dale Jarrett is now Terry Labonte's tires. The fresher, as you said, Ned, making a difference coming off the corner. And here comes Martin on the inside, headed for turn 1. Less than a car length.
Yeah, he shouldn't have any problem getting by because 15 or so laps difference in those tires. Boy, it just gives you that extra speed. If these things, this race goes green the rest of the way, it's going to work to a huge advantage of Mark Martin being able to go that far and then be able to get back up to the front that quick, because he's going to be able to stay out there a lot longer than Dale Jarrett is before he has to change tires again.
And we see drives down on the inside of Jarrett trying to take the lead. Can't do it that time. As we watch them come off turn 4, I'll tell you that David Green is down in 1 and 2. So that's how much time that David Green in the Caterpillar car lost on that exchange of pit stops when he had trouble changing the left rear tire. Now Mark is going to try it on the outside, knowing full well Dale Jarrett knew he would be out there, would not come up and pitch him against the wall, and Mark Martin takes the lead.
So Martin is the leader, Jarrett in second, Steve Grissom is third, Joe Nemechek fourth, and Todd Bodine is fifth after 124 of 250 laps. We'll be back. Stay with us. Back at Richmond International Raceway here in Richmond, Virginia, the Hardee's Fried Chicken Challenge 250 riding along on the roof cam. That's the Lance Snacks Pontiac for Rock and Rodney Combs being shown back in 18th position. ESPN's coverage of NCAA basketball championship week begins today. A week so big it takes 9 days and 2 networks to hold it all. 65 games, 29 conference championships, the entire ACC and Big East tournaments, men's and women's selection specials. Deuce coverage begins today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. NCAA basketball championship week right here on ESPN and ESPN2.
There's Mark Martin in the middle of a mess.
Yeah, he's in some heavy traffic there. He just put Chad Little a lap down. Chad had gotten back in the lead lap, but Martin out there with a little bit fresher tires has moved around him now. Now Chad, that's in the green and yellow car right behind him, trying to move back up there. The next car that is in the lead lap is Terry Labonte, who's being shown in 14th position. Jim Bowen was up there, and he just went a lap down, and now Jim Bowen's in the pits.
Battle for 11th and 12th spot. The 90 of Mike Wallace, the 00 of Buckshot Jones. Heavy traffic there with those cars. Right behind them is Michael Waltrip. And Michael Waltrip, we saw him go by and get his lap back a minute ago, and that MW Windows Ford still running awfully well.
It's running very well, but they're scrambling, Jared, to try to stay in. Mark Martin is not far behind them, and they know that he's coming, so they want to try to stay on that lead lap. They would like to have a caution right now. All of these cars that are battling for position back there.
And we saw Buckshot Jones. I thought he had something wrong with his car. Evidently, he had a flat tire or something before because he was very slow around the racetrack. But he went into pits fairly early and was able to get those fresh tires. And I guess that's one reason that the car is still on the lead lap.
Got a little loose there a moment ago, being shown in 13th position. Buckshot Jones in the car 00.
Buckshot shot up across the racetrack a lap ago on a turn forward. Again, the car bobbles out of 4. Our AutoZone race recap. Our leader, Mark Martin, has led 37 of 132 laps. There have been 6 lead changes. Cautions, 1 for 6 laps. The average speed, 105.452 miles per hour. Our leaders, David Green led early. Mark Martin, Jeff Purvis, Steve Grissom, and Dale Jarrett.
Mike Dillon is, I'm sorry, there's Curtis Markham also has led 2 laps.
Out of race, Arizona out of race, showing Herbie Sadler. After having engine trouble in qualifying yesterday, he was the first car to exit. He's the only car that's officially out here at Richmond International Raceway.
And as always, it's tough to pick up the paper on Monday morning and discover you finished dead last. Boy, look at this mess. Here's Mike Wallace trying to get by Mike Laughlin. Oh, and Labonte. Alan
does spin.
Right in front of the leader. Caution is out.
How in the world did Chad Little miss him?
I don't know. I thought he was going to T-bone him. I mean, just hit him head on there.
Chad Little kept from losing a lap, stayed in front of Mark Martin, and stayed out of a wreck. What an outstanding job of driving by Chad Little and John Deere car. There's the Bayer car. A little bit of contact between Terry Labonte and Michael Waltrip as the caution comes out. Bobby Labonte was trying to get his lap back. He will not be able to do it.
Mike Dillon might have got his lap back.
Here we see as the cars come off the corner, and Terry Labonte just gets a little bit of a touch from Mike Waltrip, and he almost saves it, but here he can't make up that. Around he goes. The roof flats come up. The car goes up in the middle of the racetrack. Now watch Chad Little.
Wow, it looked like he was going to just cram him right in the back. But
I knew he was going to nail him.
Yeah. What a great job of driving.
One more shot as they're coming off turn 4. Man.
Left side of your screen. Now watch the green car come into your pictures, Chad Little, as the Bayer car just is going to just center punch him. Said, oh, man.
Wow, was that close?
You couldn't put a piece of paper between those cars. Leaders are on pit road.
Well, this sort of throws all of that strategy out the window as far as the advantage that Mark Martin might have had with the difference in the pit stops of he and Jarrett and several others. Now they'll be on the even keel again as far as those tires are concerned.
They need to check.
Jarrett is down and Mark Martin is down. Looks like they're going to be the first two out that came in running first and second.
45 miles an hour down pit road under caution for the second time today. There's Nemechek now exiting the pit. Still David Green in the pits. Here's Todd Bodine. Good pit stop for that crew. There's the Michael Waltrip NW Windows car.
David Green at 95. Michael, these cars better be moving because the pace car is coming. Chad Little is going to be lapped if we aren't careful.
Yes, he is lapped. Oh, what a tough break. He just got his lap back, making a great drive to get back there and then loses it right back in the pits.
Chip Warren put up that stop sign, and Chad Little wisely stopped.
And Grissom back on pit road once again.
Now, this is the first time he's changed left signs. I bet that left front's worn out after 140 laps.
And let's check into Grissom pits again with Kyle Petty.
When the 5 cars spun a minute ago, Grissom was sitting on pit road. The worst luck that could ever happen is to run and hope that your strategy is going to work. You're going to catch a caution, and then you're on pit road when the caution you go on is on the racetrack. He got a lap down because of it. If he could have run one more lap, he would be right back in the thick of things, and his strategy would have worked. As it was, it didn't work for him, and he's got a lot of laps on these left sides, guys.
What a tough break for the man who won the opener in Daytona. They can paint their faces, and boy, they may want to hide them right now. What a tough decision for Grissom to have to come back in. Under caution at Richmond. Back in a moment. Perfect timing back at Richmond International Raceway. Second caution flag today involving a spin by Terry Labonte. The car looped around. A great job of driving by Chad Little to miss that car and stay in the lead lap. Unfortunately, it cost him a lap by making a pit stop. He could not beat the pace car out. Getting set for green flag racing, Mark Martin. All the leaders, all 12 cars in the lead lap have been in the pits as they charge out of turn 4.
Mark Martin, Dale Jarrett, Joe Nemechek, Todd Bodine, and David Green, the top 5.
40 car on the outside that's trying to get a lap back is Tim Fedowa. Remember, he drove the 55 car last year at Busch Grand National Competition. He jumped over to Doug Taylor's number 40, sponsored by Kleenex, and is a couple of laps down, I guess.
Was being shown in 32nd spot, 4 laps down, is between Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett. That's the first and second spot. Nemechek, Todd Bodine, Green. There's the top 5.
Curtis Markham going by Michael Waltrip. Here comes Randy LaJoy. He's on the inside of Michael.
Randy's one of those cars that are on the lead lap.
Now, on the restart a moment ago, we had a car that tagged the wall.
There's Jeff Fuller in the Sunoco car, goes up. Almost gets in the wall. Very, very high.
And we got problem on the backstretch.
Wow, heavy contact with Johnny Chapman's car in the 55. This is going in turn 3.
And he is right in the middle of the racetrack, and they are going to be using the hand signals to wave and slow down as the cars go high to miss Chapman. Field getting slowed down. Chapman's car sitting totally sideways.
And there were all these cars trying to get a lap back, and neither of them get the lap back on Mark Martin.
Mark probably didn't know that there were as many laps down as they were. He wouldn't have raced them back to the...
That's right. There we see Chapman moving around in the Ray and Diane DeWitt car. Here he is, the 55 car. Just, I don't know, just all of a sudden, the car gets out from under him and goes down and smacks the inside wall hard.
Well, that sheet metal came off that thing, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Take another look at a different angle as he comes down into the wall and hits it hard with both ends of the car, the front and then the rear.
And we see some water coming out of the car. He's broken the radiator. That's water that's... There we see as Grissom goes by, Phil Parsons on the outside in the 10 car, and he comes off the corner and just gets it out of shape. I believe he just gets it out of shape, and he almost saved it, and then it snapped around on him.
Chapman had been one of the guys up in the rookie points coming into the day's race.
In fact, he was leading the rookie points, I believe.
And he was the rookie leader coming in today. The guys you see in the race today, Mike Dillon, Glenn Allen Jr., and Pete Orr. There were actually 17 rookies in the game attempted to qualify. 7 made the race, and those are the ones that are up in the points right there you see in today's event. Well, how about it, Kyle? How are the tires looking now? What's the situation?
Well, I hate to keep picking on Steve Grissom, but he's the guy that I looked at that only changed 2 tires before. Like I said, he was pushing. He pushed the right front off the car a minute ago. He got down in the steel belts on the inside of his tire. He came in, they made it a chassis adjustment. They took a rubber out of the right front thinking that would help, but they didn't change the left side tires. And it's just like Benny Parsons said, when you use the right side tires as a crutch, once the crutch gives up, there's nothing on the left side to anchor you and hold you. Once his right sides, we changed right side tires, but Ewan's own, once they gave up, there was nothing there to help him hold the left. This is 60-some laps on this set of tires. It took him 80-some on the last set of tires to wear them out, guys.
My goodness, those things on the left side that Kyle was showing us, they were down to the cord. So, and there's Johnny Chapman, thankfully out of the race car, able to walk around, but not much left of that DR Racing Ford Thunderbird. Heavy contact in turn 3. Under caution. We'll be back with more from Richmond in just a moment. Back at Richmond International Raceway, taking a look at Mike McLaughlin's Royal Oak Charcoal Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Now, last year, this car carried a different sponsor, but also carried a very, very different message. We've had some very special moments over the years at ESPN. Many have come on the racetrack, but some have come off the racetrack, and that was the case last August at Bristol, Tennessee. Now, before we start the beating and banging, we got a little question to ask here. Now, Mike Mooney, the PR director for this French's team, is sitting back in his apartment in Charlotte, North Carolina, with Krista. And Krista, he has a question to ask you. Hey, she said yes down in Charlotte.
Oh, we got a spin down the front straightaway. And Mike McLaughlin. You're right. We needed to show that thing in the front because the tail timeless said, Krista, will you marry me? Had just been knocked off.
It's a good thing you got an answer early.
Yeah. And I'm happy to announce that today at 2 o'clock at Seaford, Delaware, Mike and Krista tied the knot.
Well, how about that? From the green flag when he asked her all the way to the checkered flag. Hey, look at this, Benny, in the crowd here. Roseanne, will you marry me? Love Ed. Hey, we got to find out what she says.
Wow. Who's Roseanne?
Well, we know one. She's already married.
Yeah, she is. And she spells her name differently.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll find out what kind of answer Ed gets, and we'll take a break and come back. We're under caution for the 3rd time today at Richmond International Race. Proposals everywhere. Back with more exciting on-track action in just a moment. Stay with us. Well, less than a lap ago, they dropped the green flag here at Richmond. Mark Martin pulls away. Dale Jarrett in second spot with Joe Nemechek third. And Martin has pulled away to about a 2-car length advantage. Now, in fairness to Jarrett, there was a lap car on the outside that pinned him coming out of turn 2 that took the green flag. So he lost some time to Martin, but Martin now beginning to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, his car is fast. Joe Nemechek now working on Jarrett, trying to get around him for second.
summary, Vinnie Parsons. Mark Martin showing the way. 12 cars are on the lead lap. We'll remind the folks again that number in parentheses is where the drivers started. So Martin started 7th inside the 4th row.
We'll see Dale Jarrett started in 20th spot. And all these cars are on the lead lap.
In fact, there are 12 cars on the lead lap. Chad Little is right behind the 3rd place car of Joe Nemechek. He would like to get up there and get that lap back. And in defense of Chad Little, when he lost that lap in the pits a moment ago, so he had to go all the way around to the back. There's only one car that's out of them now, 2 cars that are out of this race. So he was at the tail end of the line, and it's hard to make a pit stop and change 4 tires and get back out there before the caution car comes around.
Well, that is a tough break, certainly. Let's check up, follow up with that with Bill Weber. Bill?
They were also trying to make a chassis adjustment, and you were right, Ned. It took them so long to get here. They wanted to put a rubber in the left front spring. They went ahead and did it. Took too long, and that's what cost them the lap.
Riding along on top of the roof cam, the Lance Snacks roof cam. That's a Pontiac of Rodney Combs. Rodney had a great run in Daytona, finished in the top 10. In fact, finished 6th in Daytona. Driving for the King, Richard Petty.
And Jerry Nagdu coming off turn 2 just a moment ago, smacks the wall. We'll see the red car in the very back of the screen. Gets a little bit out of shape and goes up and hits the wall right there and continues on.
There's that 800 number, the MDA that he's carrying on his car today.
Young man, open-wheeled ace, former Barbara Saab driver, NASCAR modified sportsman dirt.
There's a battle for position. Curtis Markham in 63, 00 is Buckshot Jones, and 74 Randy LaJoy. That's for what, Ned? 8th, 9th, and 10th?
You got it.
Steve Grissom and just past Jason Keller in the 57 car. Jason Keller is on the lead lap 11. Steve Grissom a lap down.
117.390 miles an hour last time by. They qualified. The pole was 121, but you would think after 164 laps that the track getting a little bit more greasy and slippery that it would slow down. That just goes to show you how good Mark Martin's car is right now.
Yeah, that car is just sticking right down on the inside of the racetrack where you want it to. He can drive it just about where he wants to.
And it hasn't been that long since they changed tires. The speed will slow down as the drivers put more laps on the tires. And the 74 car, LaJoy, gets under Buckshot Jones, takes a spot away. Here comes Grissom.
Now Grissom is a lap down.
Mike Dillon down in turns 1 and 2, sitting there. And so far, no, I'm sorry, Johnny Rumley. Give the wrong guy credit for that. I saw the white writing on the red hood and thought it was Dillon, but I'd forgotten that Rumley had Suburban Propane on the hood of his car this week.
Shane Hall also involved. Let's take a look, see if we can see what might have happened to Hall and Dillon, or I should say Rumley. Got me doing it now. Rumley got in turns 1 and 2. Oh,
well, Mike Dillon hit him.
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened to him.
You were right the first time. Yeah, here's Shane Hall trying to avoid him. His car on the inside. You can't see it by those trucks there, but the 85 car, Shane Hall, he spun and right at his car, and we did not have a caution flag.
Grissom still trying to move up towards the front. He's a lap down, remember. Kyle Petty said he was sitting on pit road when the caution came out. Grissom being shown in 16th position.
23:40. That was the speed, the time in seconds that Grissom ran the last lap. There's Shane Hall in the 85 car that spun just a moment ago. Look, Todd Bodine has joined this battle for 3rd spot. That's 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
Todd Bodine looking strong here right now, as we heard Lynn say, clear. Mark Martin has pulled out about 6 or 8 or 10 car lengths in front of Dale Jarrett.
Joe Nemechek had moved up right on Jarrett's bumper, but then when Todd Bodine moved up behind Nemechek, he sort of looks like he's backed off to fend off Bodine a little bit, but That's the front 4 cars. 32 is Jarrett. He's the second place car. 87 is Nemechek in third, and the 81 is Bodine in fourth spot.
Nemechek's car is not getting off of turn 2 quite as good as Todd Bodine and Dale Jarrett. He's really getting into the turns good.
Bill Weber has a story on Dale Jarrett. Bill?
Benny, he called in a few laps ago and said they probably don't have enough right front spring in the car. The car is rolling over on the right front. He feels they should probably have a stiffer spring in that car. That may roll over till tomorrow in his Winston Cup car, because Mark Martin radioed in a few laps ago. He wants to add half a rubber in the right rear of his Winston Cup car. So these Busch cars and the Cup cars nearly identical now, and that enables these Winston Cup guys to test drive on Saturday and prep for Sunday.
But you know what we just did, Bill Weber?
What did we do, Benny?
Well, we just told everybody in the Winston Cup garage area what to do with their car, because they're all sitting in the lounge of the trucks, watching on the satellite dish and watching this on the ESPN2, and you told them what's going on out here. They didn't even have to go out and get hot and sweaty to find it out.
Benny, there's a technical term for that. It's called building an audience.
Good boy, Bill.
Yeah. Nemechek takes second spot away. Todd Bodine takes the third, and Dale Jarrett now back in fourth position. As you heard Bill Weber's report about the car rolling over on the right front there for Dale Jarrett.
Jerry Nadeau has parked the 59 car and the 34 car, Mike McLaughlin. It's a good thing we talked about Mike Mooney and Krista getting married a few moments ago, because he has parked the Royal Oak charcoal car.
Talking about the subtle difference in these cars are only 100 pounds apart. Now, they used to be about 300 pounds apart a couple of years ago, but NASCAR lightened the Winston Cup cars to 3,400 pounds, and they raised the weight on the Busch cars to 3,300, so only 100 pounds of difference. The biggest difference, I guess, is the wheelbase, 105 inches versus 110 inches in the Winston Cup. But a lot of similarities now, and a lot of teams going to school. In fact, that's what Dale Jarrett said about Daytona for the 500. He went to school on what he did on a tire change on Saturday that helped him with the 4-tire stop late in the 500, which probably gave him a shot at winning the race.
Dale Earnhardt's crew only changed 2 tires during your last pit stop down there. Jarrett's crew changed 4 tires because they learned on Saturday that the 2-tire change was not good for him on Saturday. So, yeah, they learned.
Well, we said Mark Martin would be strong, and indeed he is. He's a 2-time winner here at Richmond International Raceway, trying to pick up his second win in a row in Busch Series competition. We'll be back with more live action from Richmond after this. Another romantic adventure found in Richmond is cruising down the James River aboard the Annabelle Lee Riverboat, which offers daily plantation tours and dinner cruises. This 350-passenger paddle wheel riverboat offers dancing to live music, solo singers, and buffet lunch, brunch, or Benny, buffets tonight. The race still, hang on, sit down.
But I just want to say that Edgar Allan Poe, that wrote Annabelle Lee, is from Richmond, and they have the museum here in downtown Richmond, Edgar Allan Poe Museum.
I'm impressed.
Anyway,
but I'm also impressed with Todd Bodine, who just went around Joe Nemechek out there on the outside and took over second place.
Was pretty neat, wasn't it, Ned?
Yeah. Here's how it happened. Going down into turn 1, they ran up on the Jeff Green car, and Bodine just went right on up there, and Joe had to slow down behind the 3 car, and so it just passed him right up.
Whale of a job by Todd Bodine to take the second spot away. Bodine, after a disappointment in Daytona, came back with a great run at Rockingham, finished 10th, finished 34th in the season opener at Daytona.
Brand new team, Todd Bodine and Ron Neal started this team up.
Got an impressive run going here.
And they intend to do some Winston Cup racing in 1997. That's their hope and dream, that they can take this team to Winston Cup, and plan on running a few races in 1997, along with the help of ProMotion, the sponsor on that car. We see David Green behind Dale Jarrett in the Caterpillar car. Remember, he ran so well early on. Well, looks like he still has a pretty good race car and is closing up on the back of Dale Jarrett.
Yeah, I think he has a very good race car. He might be the second best out there right now. Second, Mark Martin. Mark Martin's pulling away from the group.
You can say that about every Busch race, can't you? Mark Martin's pulling away.
Just take that and play out of it every time we see Martin in that Winn-Dixie car. What a job that Bobby Leslie and that Roush crew does on this car. It's the same car that Martin won with at Darlington 2 years ago. He finished second at Charlotte, second up here at Richmond in this race car.
But that's a great race for, there we see Mark Martin. That's what we're talking about. Winn-Dixie Ford. It's so familiar in the Busch Series.
Coming up on some heavy traffic there in front of him.
Kevin LePage in 71. That's Chuck Bound in the 05 car. Now here's a great battle for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Behind David Green is Jeff Purvis, the pole sitter. There he is. All these cars in the lead lap, racing for position. David Green taking a look on the inside of Dale Jarrett. Takes over the fourth place, I'm sorry.
And here comes Purvis. He's going to try to move in there and take over the fifth place.
That will crank Jarrett back to sixth spot.
And we see
Give your radio to Big E.
We see LaJoie in the 74 car has joined the battle. Michael Waltrip, MW Windows, a lap down to the leader, Mark Martin.
That leaves 11 cars down the lead lap. Jason Keller, the last car on the lead lap. He is in 11th spot. And now with Martin being caught in some traffic, looks like Todd Bodine is really in a little bit.
Yes, he is. He definitely is picking up on him. I start to say that Jason Keller is in no danger of going a lap down. In fact, he's no more than a half a lap behind the leaders right now.
And look, Martin a moment ago was behind these two cars. Randy Porter and Mike Laughlin were side by side, and Mark couldn't figure out what to do. Because he does, you're right, he does have to go on because Todd Bodine, there he is, just isn't that far behind him.
Well, Bodine did a nice job slicing through that traffic in turn 3 a moment ago. They held up Mark Martin. Bodine went underneath one car and around another one. Never had to back off, just tapped the brakes and turned it left and came out of 4, and that's why the interval remained the same. But now Martin has clear racetrack and pulls him by a car length down the backstretch.
Todd has not been in his brother's Jeff's Winston Cup car this weekend, has he, Ned?
No, I don't think so. I think Jeff qualified it yesterday, and I think plans to start it and run it.
I talked to Jeff. They had put Jeff's seat in the car, and Jeff said, my ribs are feeling so good. I asked Todd Bodine this morning in the garage, said, are you going to drive as you watch this couple of cars? Whoa, near accident there is Randy LaJoie doing a little bit of dodging. That's Mike Laughlin Jr.'s car. But I asked Todd Bodine, I said, are you going to drive for Big Brother Jeff tomorrow? And he said, well, I said, I wonder how his ribs are. I said, well, I saw him dancing last night. I heard he was out dancing, so his ribs will be in pretty good shape. I don't think I have to worry about hanging around on Sunday. So if you can do the boogaloo or whatever, then your ribs aren't hurt too bad.
I would think so. There's the battle for fourth spot. And Purvis is going to get a run, I do believe, coming down the front stretch.
He's got a nose up there. Michael Waltrip's going to be right in front of him. We're going into the turn, but he jiggles a little bit there, but
ooh, jiggles a little bit more coming off the corner. And now here comes David Green. Thought he was going back. And LaJoie on the outside.
Well, those guys are doing some racing. Michael Waltrip said, let me get out of the way here.
Car number 4 slipping and sliding again as they battle for the position. They're battling for 4th spot. That's the 4, the 95, and the 74. That is 4th, 5th, and 6th. And all 3 of those guys will run the full series for the Busch Series Championship. You'll be hearing those names a lot. Jeff Purvis, Randy LaJoie, and former series champion David Green. That's how they stand right now. 4th, 5th, and 6th. 53 laps to go here at beautiful Richmond International Raceway. Boy, what a beautiful day it has turned out to be for Busch Series Racing Action live here on the Deuce. Stay with us. We hope you're enjoying today's coverage of the Hardee's Fried Chicken Challenge 250 here at Richmond International Raceway. Our Speed World coverage being brought to you by the more than 1,250 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. By Texaco Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Controls volatility and fights vaporization. Add more life to your car. Take it to the star. And by the NASCAR Story. To order, call 800-71-NASCAR.
Well, Mark Martin is finally putting a little distance on Todd Bodine. There we can see it was just 2 or 3 car lengths distance when we went to the break, and as we come back, it's probably 10 car lengths.
The leaders last pitted on lap 138, so they are run now 65 laps on those tires. So
138. Well, they could go that far on fuel. Well, I don't know if they could in 112 laps.
They could make it on fuel, but I think the tires are going to be slipping and sliding those last 20 laps. What would you think, Ned?
Well, Mark Martin, he went a little over 100 laps on his first set of tires, and a good number of these laps were run under caution. So, yeah, Mark Martin can probably make it.
We'll have to find out if Bill Weber, Kyle Petty might have some information on that down there. Kyle Petty, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm standing here with Bobby Leslie, and I asked him, do you think you can go the rest of the way on tires and gas?
Well, we sure can go on gas. If he saves the tires, we might be all right, but we're trying to use the tires up real fast. We'll just have to wait and see.
This is the same man that told us all he wasn't going to run any better. They weren't running too good out here. Weber, what's...
Tim Weiss is Todd Bodine's crew chief. Can you go the distance and can you catch Mark?
Right now, the Promotion Chevrolet is running pretty good. We're just to ride it out. Whatever Mark does, we'll do.
So you're gonna hang out there. You'll wait to the end to see if Mark fits.
I can't hear what you're saying right now.
Okay, well, we talked it over. You heard him say it. They're gonna wait and see what Mark does. What some of these guys are afraid of, I think, is if they stay out there and somebody comes in and gets tires, they might end up getting lapped in the process.
Yeah, I don't think the caution flag could have. I mean, starting back with 112 laps is probably the worst scenario of all, because it really is stretching the tires. They'd like to stop at 80, 90 laps probably and put tires on it. But we saw, as Ned said, Mark Martin be able to run over 100 laps and still be pretty competitive. So put a lot of pressure on Todd Bodine and all the rest of these cars.
Got to believe that Joe Nemechek and Purvis, Jarrett and LaJoie, those guys are praying maybe for a caution flag to be able to come in and get some tires under the caution and then see what they can do with the 60 car.
That might be why Todd Bodine slowed down just a moment ago, Ned. Somebody might have said, hey, we've got to run 112 laps. We better take it just a little bit easy and save these tires.
I'm sure that his crew's telling him to really cool it as far as those tires. But Mark has been driving. He's a smooth race driver, and he's been saving his tires as well.
Battle for 19th and 20th spot, the car number 99. These are a couple of rookie drivers. That's Glenn Allen Jr., the Luxair Chevrolet, and Mike Dillon, the Detroit Gasket. Ron Parker on machine car number 72.
Dale Jarrett in the pits. But it just slowed suddenly going in third corner, didn't it?
He had just passed David Green for the 6th position. Then all of a sudden he slows it down and comes into the pits.
16th right here. What was he?
Must have thought he had a tire going down.
16th, I believe.
They'll probably just change the right sides this time.
Let's check in with Kyle.
Looks like they're going all the way around, Kyle.
Yeah. These guys are going to make a 4-tire stop. They broke a gun, though. Evidently, they broke a gun. He let the gun land on the other side. They better pull it back. Don't let him run over the hose there.
The half right here, though.
Tires. They're changing left side. Dale's the only one that's going to gamble here and go. Oh. Okay. He ran over his hose as he left the pit. They'll probably call him back in here.
And Michael Waltrip comes in the pit.
Show him where it's at. No, it's by the fuel cell,
Right side tires on Michael Waltrip's car. You see the Bandit crew now wrapping up that hose. Unscheduled stop for Dale Jarrett. 38 laps remaining here. There's Mark Martin, the Winn-Dixie Ford Thunderbird. He is our leader. Todd Bodine, the car number 81, the ProMotion Chevrolet. He is being shown in second spot.
Dale Jarrett is now shown 2 laps down, but with the fresh tires. Hopefully could be able to make up one of those laps.
Now showing 9 cars on the lead lap. Martin, your leader. Todd Bodine second. Nemechek third. Jeff Purvis is fourth, and Randy LaJoie fifth, with David Green sixth. Curtis Markham is seventh. Mike Wallace eighth. And Jason Keller is in ninth spot. He's the last car on the lead lap.
And Buckshot Jones, who was running 10th, just came down pit road. And Purvis still trying his best to get alongside the 87 car. Nemechek went through turns 1 and 2 trying to go on the outside of Mike Dillon. Almost left the door open for Purvis.
Chad Little in the pits also. Buckshot Jones getting 4 tires. Chad Little getting new tires on his John Deere car. There he is in the Aquafresh car, Buckshot.
Ricky Pearson there changing the left front tire. And
the NASCAR official is holding him for something.
Is he over the line, the front of the car?
I think maybe, yes, he is.
Yeah,
yes, he is.
Bobby Labonte coming in as well.
That's a Shell Chevrolet for Bobby Labonte. And Bill Weber is there.
And they go to work on the right side of Bobby Labonte Shell Chevrolet, putting in fuel. Working lap 217, so just 33 to go. They whip around to the left side. This will be a 4-tire stop. So Bobby Labonte couldn't make it to the end. Gets fuel and fresh tires. Now they're going to make a chassis adjustment. Shove in the wrench. Crank on it. 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. Yeah, try that, Bobby. Off he goes.
Well, laps are winding down here at Richmond International Raceway. It'll be 32 laps to go, 31 when we come back, as exciting Busch Series action continues after this. Stay with us. Back at Richmond International Raceway, the Hardee's Fried Chicken Challenge 250. Now, as we went to break, the car number 4 had just taken the 3rd spot away. You have Purvis's car, but then just a moment ago, he had a problem.
That's Randy LaJoy, and we see he can go down the corner on the outside of Glenn Allen, and all of a sudden, looks like the car just got loose. He goes up the racetrack to catch it. I thought he'd blown an engine, but now his car's back up to speed again. So I guess he just simply got it out of shape and had to go up the racetrack to catch it.
And he's running in 5th place.
And right now, they tell me that Todd Bodine is coming in the pits.
Well, not yet. We had a report that he was coming in, but he's still out there.
Yes, he is. He's coming in the pits.
Here he comes. Let's go down to Bill Weber. He's coming your way, Bill, at 45 miles an hour.
Okay, Jerry, his crew's waiting for him. He radioed in a few laps ago. He radioed in a few laps ago that we're going to need to pit, is all he said. We're going to need to pit. So here they are. We expect this to be 4 tires. Of course, they'll start on the right side, working lap 225. Todd was running 2nd. They're going to crank some wedge in 1 round out on the right side. Now they come around to the left side. Loosen the lugs, slap on the left side tires, tighten them up. Field racing by Todd Bodine 24-6. Here on pit road now rejoins the race.
And here comes the leader as he exits pit road.
And you have to stay beneath that yellow line. You see, as Todd Bodine was coming off the pit road, you have to stay below that yellow line until you reach the backstretch. And that's why he was not able to pull up on the racetrack.
And he's going to be 2 laps down, and Dale Jarrett is coming up on Mark Martin right now to get 1 of his laps back. He's running about a half a second a lap faster than Mark Martin with those new tires on, and heavy traffic up there for both of them. There's Phil Parsons in car number 10. Phil is running in 27th position.
Lots of traffic in front of Mark Martin, the leader. Jarrett goes high. Remember, he's 2 laps down, trying to get at least 1 of those laps back with 22 laps to go here at Richmond International Raceway. Heavy traffic right in front of both those cars, and Jarrett dives down on the outside in turn 1 and drives past Martin. He is now 1 lap down, being shown in 11th spot. There are 8 cars in the lead lap, as we will have 20 to go next time by, and Mark Martin trying to hang on to pick up his 3rd win at Richmond International Raceway. And following our action today, we got basketball coming your way. The MEAC Conference Championship. South Carolina State taking on Coppin State. We'll join Larry Farmer and company for that basketball championship game after this. Back with more from Richmond in just a moment. It happens in a hurry here at Richmond. Take a look at this. This is the car of former leader Mark Martin. The right front tire apparently coming apart and just worn down to the cords, and Martin's car now rumbling down pit road.
No, you're right. He still is the leader.
Exactly.
He is the leader. But that's what the leader of the car looks like. Kyle Petty is there. Kyle, will they ever get the jack under the car?
That's going to be their problem, is getting the jack under the car. Man, they've got everybody over there trying to lift it up. I think if they get the jack up, it doesn't look too bad. He drove it back in. It's about to tear, it's tore the right front fender off of it. These guys are working. They're trying to get it up. Mark's waving at him. He's cut it off now. He's cut the car off now. Taking his gloves off. He must be going to get out. Bill Weber.
Hey, Randy LaJoie may have pitted too early. They were furious down here. Some of these other teams on the lead lap after the 74 car went by, jumping off the wall, looking for an official. The official waved by the 74 and then gave an indication, I believe, the pit road was open. So keep an eye on the 74. May have pitted too early.
Pace car, the pit road is closed. Now it's open.
Now the guy just put the red flag down. The NASCAR official at the far end up in between turns 3 and 4 waving the green flag. Here's what happened to Mark Martin here. Now we had a caution coming out because it was spin out in turn 2. This is actually the race back to the caution flag.
He's on the outside of Mike Wallace, and he goes up and looks to me like he gets in the loose stuff, and the car just will not turn. Once you get in that debris up there, the car will not turn into the wall, and we can see the heavy damage to the right side of Mark's car.
Now take a look from the roof camera of Rodney Combs riding behind this incident. See if we can see what happened to Mark Martin.
I think Mike Wallace goes up the racetrack to stay in front of Mark Martin to win the battle back to the line to keep his stay in the lead lap, or to save a lap, I should say. 90 car. Well, he is in the lead lap, as a matter of fact.
He's running in 8 spots, so all these cars now on pit road is going to put it down to a trophy dash, a sprint race here with just about 15 laps to go. And here's Mark Martin out of the car with Kyle Petty.
Okay, Mark's led the race, led the whole thing. Your tires were the only tires out there that looked like they could go the distance. What happened out there?
Oh, it was going to be fine. The caution came out, and Mike Wallace was afraid I was trying to pass him there and run me in the left front. I slipped out in the marbles, and there wasn't no stopping it, you know. Everything was going to be okay. Some days it just works out that way. You know how it is, Kyle.
I know exactly how it is. A disappointed Mark Martin, but you can bet he'll be back tomorrow.
That's a tough. But, you know, he took that with so much grace. Did you see?
Yeah.
We can see there as Mike Wallace goes up, and right in there is the loose stuff. And you get in that, it will not turn. It just goes straight, and it does in the wall.
Yep.
Let's check in on Bill Weber down on the 74 pits, the LaJoie pits. Bill?
Okay, I'm standing down here. Apparently, Randy saw Mark Martin come down pit road and assumed pit road was open. So he came down. I'm standing next to Steve Bird. Steve, he came down too early. He followed Mark. He thought it was open.
Well, he followed Mark in, you know, and he didn't see the flag, man. You know, we were telling him pay attention out there, and just messed up, that's all.
Okay, one thing about Randy LaJoie that you may have seen this year in him, he's not the same aggressive driver. They tried to soothe him, try and calm him down a little bit. I'm sure he got excited to this opportunity, saw Mark Martin come down pit road. That's heartbreaking for him and this crew. I can tell you, they're really dejected down here.
And what has to happen, he'll go to the end of the longest line on the restart.
And he'll be back, and a long way to go with less than 15 remaining here at Richmond International Raceway. We'll come back with the final laps after this. Stay with us. Thank you very much, Reese Davis, back at Richmond International Raceway, Richmond, Virginia. The Hardee Fried Chicken Challenge 250 winding down. It'll be 13 laps or 12 laps to go next time by. After that wild scramble here with 15 laps to go, a car spins between turns 1 and 2. That was Mike Laughlin Jr. Then a race back to the caution flag. Mike Wallace up in front of the Mark Martin car. Martin's car getting up in the loose stuff, tags the wall, ends up having to exit after he dominated the majority of this event. And now the whole complexion of this race has changed.
Well, it certainly has. Mark Martin, who had, as you say, dominated the race, and now Joe Nemechek is being shown as the leader. We'll get the signal for one more lap to go. Mark Martin is out of the race.
Well, I can't find the leader. There he goes. He's on the inside. Meanwhile, Dale Jarrett, Todd Bodine, both those cars that made pit stops are on the inside line, and they both are in the lead lap. Well, they're on the tail end of the lead lap, actually.
Yeah.
That's where they're...
Exactly. They're on the tail end of the lead lap. They and Rodney Combs. well, Rodney might be still another lap down, being shown another lap down.
In the 87 car of note, Joe Nemechek, the Bell South Mobility, is the leader of the race.
And we'll be joining the MEAC Conference Championship, South Carolina State and Coppin State at the conclusion here. It'll be 11 laps to go this time by for the green flag, and here they come. Joe Nemechek, the car number 87, the Bell South Mobility Chevrolet, is the leader, but Dale Jarrett leads him into turn 1.
Jason Keller, the red car, 57, is second place car, and David Green, the 95 car, is in third. There's the leader. That's Nemechek in the blue and white 87. And he just lost to second place. David Green goes into second, the Caterpillar car. There's Nemechek trying to get by Steve Grissom, gets on the inside. There comes a second place car, and Purvis is now third. Jeff Purvis taking a look on the inside of Green for second.
Jeff Purvis trying to improve on his best ever Busch Series finish. Last week at Rockingham, he finished third. He now has taken the second spot away. 9 laps remaining here in Richmond.
And Todd Bodine moves over and blocks the 87 car of Nemechek, and here comes Purvis.
Well, Todd Bodine is racing Dale Jarrett for position. Now he takes away what would be the 9th position or 8th position from Dale Jarrett. They're still on the lead lap, but Nemechek now about to move on the inside of Jarrett. That would put Jarrett a lap down. And he's going to let him go. He's going to let the leader go.
And here comes Purvis. This is a battle for the lead. The 4 car, Jeff Purvis, pole center. He's on the inside of Nemechek.
And Jeff Purvis has never won a Busch Grand National Series race. Takes the lead down in turns 1 and 2. And here's Nemechek back on the inside, and Purvis holds him off.
Boy, Purvis drove that car down in the corner, and thank God it stuck, because he had no idea if it would or not.
Jeff Purvis, a 2-time pole sitter in 1996, set on the pole at Daytona, set on the pole here for this short track event, but has never gone to victory lane in Busch Series competition. Over 350 short track dirt series victories, driving for James Finch, an unsponsored car. They don't have a sponsor on their car. The Phoenix Construction, that's actually the company owned by the car owner, James Finch, a construction company.
Now then, all Purvis has got to do is just stay in front of the 87 car. But tell you what, Nemechek isn't going anyplace, Ned. Staying right there.
Staying right there with him. Just at least a little bit of a slip, and he'd be right back up there. Todd Bodine just hoping for a caution, but he might not. It's getting late in the race.
4 laps to go for Jeff Purvis, 36-year-old driver, Clarksville, Tennessee. Johnny Allen, Mark Reno, James Finch, that entire team building a brand new race car and bringing it here for its maiden voyage on the short tracks, well, the intermediate track, the 3/4 mile facility here at Richmond, Virginia.
This is Purvis's 31st Busch Grand National start. There's been 415 Busch Grand National races so far. 70 winners. Will Jeff Purvis be number 71? 3 laps to go, 2.5 laps to go, actually.
And he looks up in the rearview mirror, and Nemechek is still there.
That's not what he wants to see, Ned.
No, he likes himself pulling away.
That's right. Likes to see a little more daylight between he and Nemechek.
It'll be white flag next time by. A car length and a half separating Purvis and Nemechek. 2 Chevrolet drivers. Chevrolet Monte Carlos. The car in front of them is the 81 car of Todd Bodine. He's on the lead lap at the tail end, but the 4 car is the leader as the white flag from Carl Simmons signifies 1 lap remains.
And Purvis hold him off. There's Todd Bodine up in front, but I don't think that he's going to catch Todd Bodine. Can he hold off Nemechek?
He kept it down low on the inside. That's what he'll need to do here in turns 3 and 4, and he's keeping it right down on that yellow line.
And for the 67th time, a Busch Grand National race has been won from the pole. Jeff Purvis.
3rd different winner here in 1996. 3 races, won a competitive series, and there's Johnny Allen in the crew. Let's go down to Kyle Petty.
Okay, I'm standing here. Mark Reno's the crew chief on this car, but Johnny Allen is the acting crew chief in the pits today. You guys did a great job. Where did you come from there at the end? You sat on the pole up here, but we hadn't seen you in the top 5 or 6 in the last 100 laps, and all of a sudden you win.
Well, we got a heck of a driver, is all I can say. You know, we made some changes on the car all day. The car's been tight all day long, but we had an air wrench mess up there on the last pit stop and sent him out fourth, but he done the rest.
Well, there you have it. These guys are excited. I don't think I've ever seen a crowd this excited to win a Busch race in my entire life. They're all running a victory lane right now, guys.
Well, what a good deal for Mark Reno and Johnny Allen. There's the Phoenix Construction Chevrolet, the winner of the Hardee's Fried Chicken Challenge 250. Of course, lots of action coming your way later today. They got IndyCar qualifying coming up, IndyCar pole qualifying from Homestead, Florida, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Speeds approaching 200 miles an hour. Michael Andretti, Allenster Jr., all the IndyCar regulars up there. Of course, lots of action coming your way live tomorrow. RPM today.
Purvis is lost. He can't find victory lane. I love it.
Hey, where do I go?
Hey, where do I go? You're on the wrong side of the wall, Purvis.
Never been there before. NASCAR today coming up at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. The Pontiac Excitement 400 at 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. Live flag-to-flag coverage at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. RPM tonight. He said, take a left here, take a right, go to the convenience store. That's crew chief Johnny Allen says, hey, you got to be on the other side. It's a checkerboard area. That's okay. With the kind of car he had today, he'll get accustomed to being in victory lane quite often this year.
Make it a U-turn.
Jeff Purvis, better known for super speedway wins, although most of his experience has been on short tracks, but he has been in the ARCA competition, has been very strong, won a lot of races there. First short track win in NASCAR.
Unofficial results: Purvis, Nemechek, David Green, Wallace, and Curtis Markham. Good run for the Pontiac driver in the top 5.
LaJoie, Jason Keller, Todd Bodine. Great run for Todd today. And Dale Jarrett back in 9th. He was a lap down. Terry Labonte also. Then the car's 2 laps down. Glenn Allen Jr. And there we see the cars through 30th spot.
Dennis Setzer in 22nd position. His front row starting position early.
41 cars started. What a tough break for Hermie Sadler. Had another engine problem today after having one yesterday in qualifying. He will finish 41st. Let's go to Bill Weber in victory lane. Bill?
And Jeff Purvis gets a victory drink here. Hey, glad to see you made it to victory lane. A few extra laps there for you, huh?
Never been here before.
Yeah, your first one, Jeff. How's it feel?
I'll tell you what, we're tickled to death. You know, we didn't have the fastest race car here, but that doesn't usually, you know, that's not always what wins the races. We had a good race car. It's a brand new car, and we learned something about it all day long, and it came up in victory lane.
And you had to battle back through the middle portions of the race, Jeff.
Yeah, well, off and on we got down a little bit, but they got me right back up there. They fixed the car, whatever I thought, you know, that it needed, and they sent me back out there, and this Phoenix team gave me a great race car today.
We started the broadcast talking about guys that are running for the championship, going the whole way. You're one of those guys gunning for a championship. Now you've got your first Busch win. How does it feel?
We just wanted to win one of these things. We, you know, it's obvious we didn't know where victory lane was, but you know, it feels great. This team's worked their butts off. You know, we don't have a sponsor, but you know, we'll pick up one of those. We want to win some races right now.
And he's got his first one, Jeff Purvis, unsponsored but in victory lane.
And a record today, a record for Busch Series ever. Most cars running at the end, 36. They previously had 35 running at the finish today. 36 of the 41 starters were running at the end. Remember, IndyCar qualifying coming up live from Homestead at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Once again for Kyle Petty, Bill Weber, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, I'm Jerry Ponce. Congratulations to Jeff Purvis. And now let's go to watch MEAC Conference Championship basketball. South Carolina State and Coppin State. Here's Larry Farmer.